And hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where talk, it's knowledge. And today we're going to be talking to someone who a lot of you already know. You've probably been students of his, and he's been like 8 years in the making to get him here, so it's going to be fun to have him on. We've got Kevin Siegel from IconLogic. He'll be joining us in a moment. And right next to me, just over there, I got him pointing in the right direction, we've got Lesley Price with us, coming to us from England. She's Scottish. She's with www.LearnAppeal.com, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that later on. And Lesley, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So anyway, let's get started. And we are back, and there he is in that center position of power. We call that the power seat. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Rick?
Doing great. Now, for all of those who don't know who Kevin is, Kevin owns and runs IconLogic, which is probably one of the top training companies for e-learning tools and a whole mess of other things that he teaches. He's got other teachers teaching for him. I even had the honor of teaching with him a couple of times. It's fun. He does a great job, and we've known Kevin for about 8-9 years already. It's been a long time. And so how's the training industry going for you?
Training industry is awesome. We're constantly expanding our roster of classes, trying to meet the need of the evolving technology, with these tools. If you're a Captivate enthusiast, you know that Captivate 2019 just came out with virtual reality, and now we're being asked to put together a bunch of virtual reality projects for customers who have spent, boy oh boy, in the past, thousands and thousands of dollars doing interactive simulations. And now I'm teaching it to people. I have a 1 hour session online, live online, where we're teaching people how to do it. I think the number one comment I'm getting is, you had all that made up, right? You didn't just do that while we were sitting here. I'm like, yeah, Captivate comes with some canned 360-degree images, and I bring it in and I put the hotspots on there, and goodness gracious, I'm creating 360 virtual reality worlds in just seconds. And, I use the canned photo that comes with Adobe, but my big concern was, I bet that there's just no way you could do that yourself. So I went out and I bought a virtual reality 360 camera, went to Best Buy, picked it up, attached it to my phone, and I was taking 360-degree photos. And now the first one I took, by the way, I hadn't mastered the technique of getting yourself out of the picture. So
right.
There I was right in the middle of this thing.
Yep.
Right? So the cool thing is, somebody asked me, well, what do I need to get started with that virtual reality? And I asked, actually, I put it back on my attendees. I said, what do you think a camera is going to cost you for virtual reality? And the answers were $600, $1,000. One guy said $3,000. And I said, boy, oh boy. I went to Best Buy and I bought the best one they had, and it was $180 or something like that.
Wow, that's pretty good. Which one did you get?
It's the Nano. Look at that. I actually have it right here.
Oh, interesting.
The
Nano.
Nano. It's just here. Let me show it. It's just awesome. Not that I'm plugging Nano, but
that's it, huh? Yep.
That's it. And it basically plugs into the bottom of the phone here, and then there's an app you get for the phone. And I don't want to go grab it right now because I'll probably fall out of the chair in my cramped space here, but I got one of those stabilizer bars. Yes. So you can kind of move around and keep it real stable. But what I didn't think about when I'm taking those first 360 photos is, you probably don't want to be in the picture, And the interesting thing is, when you take a picture with those cameras, the camera takes the camera out. So there I was just holding nothing. So
it actually took it out?
It take itself out, but it didn't take me out. So basically what you do is you set a timer, and you put the camera on a tripod and then run and get out of the room. But the bottom line is that I took it into Captivate, and they were like, oh my God, this can't be that easy. The 360 videos are just as easy. And someone, I know we don't want to spend all the time talking about virtual reality, but that's the hot topic right now. Someone was saying, when you do the 360 pictures, can I just use the panorama view on my phone? And the answer is, well, you can bring in a panorama picture on your iPhone. You've probably done that. The problem is there's no up, there's no down, there's no behind you. It's just left, right. So when you bring it into Adobe Captivate, what it does is it basically tries to stitch what it can't see above, below, and behind you, and then you end up with you stretched and turned around. It's quite the mind-numbing thing to see what happened to my picture, but that's what happens to those pictures. But but the bottom line is we're constantly evolving our classes and trying to keep up on what do students want, because if they don't want the class, they're not going to come to get training. You know, that's common sense. And virtual reality right now, we're seeing that's a huge potential, much more than responsive design is. We thought responsive design would be the second coming, and not so much.
This year, I don't know, in the UK, we have Learning Technologies Awards, and there's various different categories. And for the last 2 years, I've actually judged simulation and virtual environments, and it's quite interesting to see what is now coming up, particularly with vocational skills. And things where it can make compliance training so much more interesting than just tick the box, and they put them then into scenarios, which again really interesting.
Yeah, what I see is, you're absolutely right. What I see is got huge ramifications for healthcare. Airline industry, they want to do simulations of not just the pilot experience, what the pilot does in the cockpit, but people who work on the plane doing everyday jobs, whether it's flight attendants or people handling the luggage. You can actually take 360 photos now of all areas of the plane, and then you can have your employees actually be in the plane. It is worth noting, and I found this interesting. You know, I'm a senior, pretty much, age-wise, and I'm not comfortable putting on those virtual reality goggles. I don't know about you guys, whether you feel comfortable doing that. I just feel silly. Although younger, I guess millennials, no, not a problem. So I'm not someone who wants to put on the goggles. But the 360 virtual reality projects that you build with today's Captivate, you can set it up just when you publish it that there's an icon, and if you tap it and you've got the goggles on, you are in the room. If you don't want to wear the goggles, you don't touch the little icon, and you can just drag your mouse on a laptop or a desktop and spin around the room and look up and look down. So it goes either way that you want to do it. And fractions of a penny to the dollar for what it cost just a year ago to do this. Captivate 2019 just came out a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing because...
No, so there was one project that actually, I don't like the goggles, but that's because of the problem I've got with my eyes. I'm absolutely blind as a bat without my specs on. And I've also got astigmatism, so I really don't like not having my specs on. But one of the people that came that was trying, put in a submission award was using box. They had it as just being able to use it on on your device or on your computer. You could also use specs, which I thought was quite interesting. Well,
cutting out. Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. I
lost the last bit of that. So,
yeah, it
I
cut out.
got the general gist of it.
I know. I don't know what's wrong tonight.
Now it's good.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Speaking of stigmatisms, when you come to Rick's show, you get medical advice. So I had astigmatism too, Lesley, and I cured it, and it's a modern miracle. And what I did was I put the wrong contacts in the wrong eyes, just kind of switched them around a little bit, and then I always was thinking, man, I can't see so good. These contacts are terrible. But, I went on for 30, 40 days with those contacts, right? Then I just happened to go in for my checkup, and the doctor said, put your contacts in, and I couldn't see right out of the contacts. She goes, what's going on with that? Let me see those contacts. And she goes, you got the right one in the left eye and the left one in the right eye. And I go, really? She goes, take out the contacts. And no stigmatism. She goes, you cured yourself. I go, you see?
That's so funny.
She goes, I've never seen this. So, Lesley, what I suggest that you do is just get rid of the glasses, get your contacts, flip them. You'll be cured in a month. Rick's gonna guarantee it. I can make no guarantee.
No,
just a suggestion.
I'm also both. I also need varifocals, so I'm also both long and short sighted. So
Listen, I'm telling you, I can cure all that. I'm telling you, I can cure it. So anyway, Captivate, I mean, is awesome. And I got to tell you, I am one of the original Captivate lunatics and fanatics, but I'm totally in love with Articulate Storyline, just to give Storyline its due props. And what I'm asked to do frequently by customers is compare the tools. And so I actually created a class. You can come to it at the IconLogic website. And it's a non-vendor specific comparison between Captivate, Storyline, and what's interesting is there is a third player out there, which is kind of interesting, considering that Captivate's $1,000 if you buy it outright. Storyline's $1,300, $1,400. So you can subscribe to both of them. And there's another player out there that costs $200, and that one's called TeXtMate Camtasia. And people are like, well, how could you put Camtasia in a fight against those behemoths? And actually, depending on what your outcome is, Camtasia is wonderful, and it's incredibly easy to use when compared to Storyline and Camtasia. And I also tell you that when people, I'm not sure, Rick, if you've used Storyline or Captivate.
I have, yeah, we've used them all.
Right, so for someone who's a veteran developer, I'm asked all the time, which one's easier, which of the tools? And the buzz is that Storyline is easier, and I understand where that buzz comes from, especially if you have no experience in any of the tools. The second you open up Articulate Storyline, man, it looks an awful lot like another program that we all have used in our lives from birth, Microsoft PowerPoint, right?
Yep.
It looks all like PowerPoint. It's got the Microsoft ribbon and the tabs. And I would say that gives Storyline about a 15–20% head start for the novice who's trying to figure out how to do this. And Captivate's interface, I would agree that it can be perceived as a bit clunky when you compare it to a more elegant interface. The thing that's interesting about these tools when you do your development, you can't get to higher end development by doing basically if, and, or else scenarios. Like what happens if the learner does this and then I want this to happen. In Storyline, it's known as a trigger. In Captivate, it's known as an advanced action. And either way, you have to program the higher end functionality using triggers or advanced actions. And in reality, you could argue which one of the two tools takes longer to do the advanced logic in. I guess it just goes to, do you like building one event after another event, that'd be the triggers mentality, or do you like stacking them all together, more like the advanced actions in Captivate? So I think there's room, more likely than not, in the world for all three tools. I don't know if a lot of clients are going to get Captivate, Camtasia, and Storyline, or Captivate and Storyline, because those two are very similar. What would probably happen is you might own Adobe Captivate and you might own TeXtMate Camtasia. And depending on what the needs are, pick your tool. I do tell everybody that once you pick your tool, there's no going to the other tool automatically. There's no file open in Captivate that's going to open Storyline, and there's no file open in Camtasia that's going to say, let me open up this Captivate CPTX file. You pretty much, unless you import the published assets, there's nothing you can do, you know.
And the part where Camtasia might be easier is because if people are used to doing simple video editing, once they capture everything, Camtasia makes it super easy to add your captions, your highlights, your pans, zooms, crops, and that's
I love the panning and zooming feature. It's fantastic. Yeah,
it's really good. It's really good.
We put together a file that guesstimates, a pretty good guesstimate, the number of hours it'll take you to develop e-learning, dependent upon, do you want it to be responsive? Do you want it to be Section 508 compliant or accessible to learners with disabilities? And is your script already written? Do you already have a design? And as you answer yes, no, and you pick your tool, I'm going to do this in Adobe Presenter, Articulate Presenter, Camtasia. It goes through and it says, based on what you've told me, here's the approximate number of hours it's going to take you to develop X number of minutes of content. And it's a calculator, and the first thing the calculator asks you is, how many minutes of e-learning are you going to create? Because we always ask our clients, how much content do you want? And I swear to you, we had a client contact us and say, I want to do some e-learning. So the first thing I asked was minutes. And they said, I think they said 24. And I go, 24 minutes. Okay, so I can do that calculation pretty easy in the calculator. And they said, no, 24 hours. I said, 24 hours of e-learning content? Are we talking about e-learning? We're talking about live stand-up training, like a college course, 24 hours of content. No, they were pretty adamant. It's 24 hours of e-learning content. Well, you calculate that bill out times all those minutes, times all those hours. It was going to be like $250,000 investment for them. And of course, I shot them that price, and they were like, I can't do that. I can't do that price. I'm like, well, you know, you got to remember now that when you do a Camtasia e-learning lesson or Captivate a storyline, what you're really doing is producing a movie. And what I told this potential client is that you're producing, remember, a typical movie is an hour and a half, 90 minutes. You're producing 15 movies.
Yeah.
So you need writers, you need animators, you need graphics people. Unless you're telling me it's going to be a PowerPoint deck and it's going to be next, because if you do that, the learner pretty quickly is going to click next, done. So, yeah, it didn't work out because they didn't have the budget for it. And I think they probably did something on their own, and it turned out to be one of those PowerPoint presentations. But the bottom line is, based on that calculator, you can figure out how much time it's going to take you on your tool. And we've got it down to a science, and I can tell you right now, and you've done a fair amount of e-learning, Rick, and maybe you'll agree with this, including everything you'd need to do with the e-learning, including the voiceover script, the writing, the development, the instructional design, the quizzing, the publishing, the uploading, everything. With Adobe Captivate and Articulate Storyline, assuming you're going to do an interactive e-learning lesson, because you can do all this cool interactivity in both those tools, 4 hours for every single minute. In TextMint Camtasia, 1 to 2 hours for every minute of e-learning. And that includes soup to nuts, having nothing and ending up with 1 minute of content. You expect 4 hours of content in Captivate, Storyline, and 1 to 2 in Camtasia. What do you think? Lesley, Rick, you guys seeing the same thing?
Probably not far from it. And it just depends. If you're doing like a straight simulation, they're usually cheaper only because they don't want a lot more to it. But the minute you start adding the soft skills part, the voiceover and everything else, yeah, it starts adding up, especially if they want to do it well.
Let me clarify. When you say software simulation, you're talking about like video demo, right? Record a process.
Yeah, record and maybe do some interactivity, but simple stuff.
Simple stuff. So to make a full branched out software simulation,
it's going to take a little longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to call it, and you know, it's actually if you Google levels of e-learning, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 would be just let the video play.
Sure.
More like a Camtasia. More like a PowerPoint presentation with forward and back buttons, right? Level 2 would be a fair amount of interactivity.
Right.
Maybe adding some games or some learner interactions in there. That's what I would consider level 2. Level 3 would be virtual reality worlds, and I would even say above and beyond virtual reality projects. The virtual reality projects that you create in Captivate with those 360 photos and videos, I would still count that as a level 2 e-learning, and that's what I'm saying, 4 hours for every minute. The gamification that I'm talking about would be like, I was at a conference and someone had a game to teach you project management, and the game was, I was Christopher Columbus, and the project management game was get my crew, get my ships, get my funding, get to the new world, and get a colony going. And believe me, I didn't finish the game. But I tell you, I had maybe 5 minutes to play with this game, so I walked into a bar, pointed to a bunch of people and said, crew, 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 and they all said yes. We went and we got on our ships, because I guess I had secured financing, and about 30 seconds out to shore, they had murdered me. Because I had never done the Myers-Briggs. I didn't do the Myers-Briggs on my crew, and I had hired a bunch of murderers. Well, I didn't know that.
I love it.
So work to the wise. If you're going to discover the new world, do the Myers-Briggs and find out who your lunatics are.
That's true.
So I didn't know that. I just know that the screen turned blood red, and they go, "You're dead." And I'm like, "What? I just started. 30 seconds into my voice. Nope. Mutiny. Dead."
Oh, that's funny. I love that. Was that game effective?
But that's that's true virtual worlds gamification at the highest level, and I don't have a number for that. I bet that would be potentially dozens, if not hundreds of hours per minute of video game time. I truly do not know how the game companies can afford to put these incredible games out if their games aren't making millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, it's all volume. If they can't get the volume, some of these games cost $2 to $5 million or more to make. So
okay, and the consumer pays $20, $30, maybe a little bit less, and you get all these games you can download on your phone.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it.
But the expensive games, but the real, like the console expensive games, those cost $50, $60, and they sell millions. That's the only way they can really do that. Like games like Grand Theft Auto, which is a Scottish company actually made that one, and that one I forgot what it cost. It was like $2 to $5 million to make one of them, but they sell millions of them. And
right. Well, I
or
know
Madden football, NFL, something like that.
I just don't do the games that I'm in front of a computer all day long. I have no intention of let me get off of work and now let me put my goggle on and now I'm going to play a game. I guess my rear end would be really firmed up, wouldn't it? Cause that's
but the good part about that, with your gaming history, within 5 minutes they'll kill you and you're done. You don't have to play anymore.
I'd be totally dead. I played a game at one point with a fella online, a friend of mine, and all we were was tanks. This is back in the olden days. Yep. And so we couldn't tell which one of us was the tank, and we were teaming up. And I said, you know what you do? When this tank comes up to you, I'll move my turret left, right, left, right. That's me saying hello. You move left, right. I'll know it's you. And he goes, okay. So I did my turret left, right. He did his turret, and then I shot him. I blew him up. And he called me and said, you killed me. I go, whatever. It's a stupid game. I have no time for this. I got 30 seconds. I mean, that's all I could do. I was Christopher Columbus for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So you might also notice on the backdrop here, it says Certified Online Training Professionals. I'm real excited about this. I've been teaching online, Rick, I've been a trainer for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm a Certified Online Training Professional. I just realized also I got my purple ICCOTP shirt on. So I thought I had my IconLogic shirt on. I just looked, I go, oh, look, you got the other shirt on. So at least it's not inside out. So I've been teaching online for 30 years, and at some point I woke up with the flu in City X teaching product Z. I had no idea what, and I called my wife and I said, oh my God, I'm completely sick. Can you? And she goes, oh my God, you're going to be able to make it? I go, I don't even know. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to class. What else can I do? And I'm going to share the flu with everybody. So she had to tell me where I was and what I was teaching. And I go, well, thank God for you. So, okay, I'll go to class. And look, I got through the class because, if I'm a warrior, all right? You ask me, I'll tell you, I'm a warrior. I got through the class. But I told my wife, I think I just want to retire. I can't get on another plane, and I can't get sick again. That's terrible. I'm not going to do it. So I started teaching all of my classes online. And this was about 15 years ago before anybody was teaching online. Believe me, I'm one of the first. I'm telling you, look at me. Read my lips. I'm one of the first trainers to pull full-day classes live online. Sure, people were teaching webinars, but those were the 1 hour variety. I was doing the live online training. And that's where IconLogic really made its name. Not only the books that I write, but we teach these live classes. And at some point, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, somebody said, I love the way you teach. You actually show your personality and we can't even see you. Because you know what? You guys can see me right now with this video, right? You see me moving around. Mm-hmm. But in my live online classes, we don't encourage video cameras. We like that anonymity.
Yeah.
So they say, can you teach our team how to teach like you do? And my first response was, no, you can't teach that. I don't even know how to articulate what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. But then I started thinking, well, sure, well, why can't I? And so I actually taught a bunch of their people how to teach like me. And I think eventually they started competing with me, which is okay, other trainers. But then after we got done with the class, they said, by the way, can you certify that we can do this? And I go, certify? I'm not a college. No, I'm a professional training company. No. But then I started thinking, why not? And I didn't want to just be me that said, hey, Lesley, you're a great trainer, and I'm going to give you a test and all that. So I formed a council of really experienced high-end trainers. I mean, these trainers, I think the most inexperienced trainer on that council is 10 years in. Some of them are 30 years, some 40, some are probably dead now. Sorry, very old. But a lot of experience. And then we started the International Council for Certified Online Training Professionals. That's a mouthful.
Now I didn't know that you were
ICCOTP.com.
Now I didn't know that you were part of that.
Yeah. So I actually founded it, and I gathered the council, and based on what the council told me and indicated, this is what a professional course should be to teach people how to teach online. This is what the exam should be. And you know what you should do during your class? It's a 2-day class. You should make everybody who thinks they can teach online, make them teach online for the rest of the class. So we do. So we do a 2-day class, and it's taught by 3 certified online training professionals at the same time. And you learn how not to step on each other, because you got to get that right, or else Leslie's talking, I'm talking, Rick, you're talking, right? So you learn how to do that. And then on the second day, everybody's told in advance they will have to teach something for 10 minutes. We don't care what it is. It could be basket weaving. It could be fly fishing. I don't care. I had one of my certified online training professional candidates teach the proper way to tack a horse. Now, can you teach tacking a horse live online? I'm here to tell you, yes, she did. It was with photos, and she let the students draw on a picture of a horse that she had put up, and she said, now everybody, we went over this earlier, can you please circle what is not essential tack on a horse? And you have people drawing all over this horse trying to figure out what the essential tack was, which was just awesome that you're able to engage someone on any topic live online, even working with animals. So the only thing we found so far, maybe you two can think of some other industries that wouldn't be conducive to teaching online, at least all of it. And this, I got feedback. I put an article on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn channel, about you can teach anything online. And this was performing an autopsy. And I responded, why couldn't you teach how to perform an autopsy online? Except for the physical, having the patient there, why couldn't you? And they responded, and this did kind of, I went, oh, all right, didn't think about that. The odors that you'll experience. You can't experience that. Of course, I fired back because I'm a wise guy. Oh, we can do scratch and sniff autopsies.
Yep,
Fine.
smell-o-vision.
Take care of that, Yeah, smell-o-vision, right, if you'd even want that. But if you think about it, what couldn't be taught online? You guys, what do you think?
Not much.
Well, I think there's actually some things you can't teach online. And from my experience, I've worked with Colin Steed for years, and Colin Steed, years and years ago, developed the certificate in online certificate in online facilitation, and he also developed another qualification where it's certificate in the designing of the learning. So it's not just the online learning, it's actually the designing and all the graphics, everything else that goes along with it. And it's in the UK, it's the LP. I mean, Colin's now retired, but it's when he developed it, it was with the Learning and Performance Institute. But I can think of quite a lot of things that you couldn't teach online.
I would love to go down that list and see if we couldn't do a point counterpoint, but that's probably another session, right? Get into a boxing match with Lesley. I'm a little afraid of Lesley, so I don't want to box her. You'd have to put one hand behind your back, Lesley, So interesting that you mentioned graphics, by the way, because part of that certification process, we actually do spend some time on what it means to avoid the dreaded death by PowerPoint. And you guys have probably seen more than your fair share. And anybody watching this knows what I'm talking about. You're probably nodding, the headline, the bolded list, and the 1987 clip art that people are still using. I saw a recent presentation, I swear to you, where it had that clip art with the dude throwing the hats up in the air because he wear many hats. And I'm like, oh my God, I think that was 1985.
Yep.
When that graphic first came out. I didn't even think that was in existence, but this person found it somewhere. And the innovation was they had pulled it apart, and instead of a yellow hat, it was a green hat. And I go, I think that's the same.
Yeah, you know which one I hate? I hate the dartboard, the archery target or the dartboard that everybody uses for everything.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. That's innovative. Yeah. So we definitely want to get rid of that. And really, we've got an awesome class where we actually teach you. Please, it's called PowerPoint for eLearning. You're doing it wrong. And I've got a world-class designer, which is not me. I'm not a world-class designer. I'm lucky this shirt isn't completely wrinkled. Who actually goes through the process of, this is a bad slide. Look how you can make it a lot better, a lot of befores and afters. And what people start to realize is, oh my God, I can do that, and I don't have to be a designer. you can think like a designer, but have two left hands and still pull this off. No illustrating, no drawing, none of that. Just the way you organize your slides. It's just an awesome way to think.
And even worse, Kevin, is the people that put up PowerPoint with lots of words on it, and then they read off it as they're doing the presentation.
Oh, how about they just turn their back to you, and you've got your hand raised, and they'll wave you off. Not yet. I'm not done with the 50 icons on my slide. You know, what we actually teach, it's kind of interesting. We talk about learner attention span, and this is both for someone who's going to be a certified online training professional with ICCOTP, or somebody building e-learning. They come to IconLogic and they take a class. One of the things we talk about very early, whether you're using Storyline or Captivate or Camtasia, is the attention span of the adult learner, and that it's really, really short. Now, over the years, we've based what we tell people on a study, and I don't believe the study has any validity, but it's a fun way of thinking about it. It's the attention span of a goldfish. Now, somebody out there said that they had done research and checked the attention span of a goldfish, and since then, many people have pretty much, it's an urban legend, there was no money spent, federal money spent on goldfish. And if there was, okay, I believe it, but I don't think it was. But the bottom line with it is that the average attention span of a goldfish, let's just say it's 7 seconds, okay? What's the average attention span of an adult learner taking your e-learning? And before you guys answer, I'd love to hear from you what you think. That e-learning students coming to your class are coming to your class over the internet. They're one click away from YouTube, one click away from Amazon. And by the way, once you're on YouTube, the idea is to get to the end of YouTube and watch all the videos, which I managed to do last night. I finished with YouTube. I'm done. So I got to the very last video, and it actually pops up and says, you're done. So I'm like, this is awesome. I've set a record. But most students aren't fast like me. They're going to multitask, and they're going to watch the YouTube video, and your lesson's going to be playing probably in a different tab. You've lost your lesson. So the general idea is thinking about goldfish, it's 7 seconds. I'm saying 7 seconds based on no flat research. Let's just say that sounds like a good number, and it probably is reasonable. I've looked at my goldfish, and I think it's 2 seconds. And I actually looked at another goldfish, and it was less than that, but it was belly up. So I'm thinking that one's done for. What do you guys think? Attention spans for a goldfish. And before you, I should have said before you say anything, make everybody think about it for a second. And now, Rick, what do you think? You think
2 seconds.
Did you say 2 seconds? 2 seconds. Less than an average goldfish.
Yep.
Leslie?
I don't know, because we've been sitting here talking for the best part of 40 minutes. How many people are even listening to a word we say?
Yeah, but we're advanced goldfish.
Listen to me, Leslie. You can just knock that off. And by the way, Leslie just proved the whole distraction thing, because I bet she forgot what I even asked. That's the problem, right? So give me some kind of an answer, Leslie.
Excuse me, I'm an ex-teacher. You asked about the attention span of an adult when they were watching e-learning.
Yes. So what do you think? Give me a number.
Oh, I've no idea. I would say longer. I would say about 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay, so you had no idea, but we managed to get a number out of you. I'm very proud of you, Leslie. Good. What we've discovered through the learning that we've created, it's 15 seconds for e-learning. It's 2 to 3 minutes for live training. If you don't say something provocative in live training within 2 to 3 minutes, you've lost your learner. If you don't say something or actually do something, make a learner engagement, something for them to do in the e-learning every 15 seconds, you lose them. So if you guys listening to this, think about those numbers. If you're doing a Captivate slide, no slide should play for 15 seconds. If you haven't gotten your point across in 15 seconds, make another slide. It's okay. Change the visuals. It's okay. And look, these are not hard stops. Nobody said at 15 seconds the learner does that. No, they didn't pass out. At least not, hoping not, unless there's a medical condition, in which case please call 911. But typically 15 seconds, and then you got a range there. So you can go 20 seconds, 25 seconds, but I've seen Captivate slides, you look at them, 3.5 minutes for one slide. And the narrator's just talking like this. We will now talk about the fifth element of the 45th tribunal. Oh my God. So yeah, you don't need that, right? So 15 seconds. And to kind of put a nice cross the T and dot that I, when you're talking about e-learning, if you're talking about 15 seconds at a clip and something's got to change, no single e-learning lesson should play for 5 minutes. Which is the reason when this fella asked for 24 hours of content, I was like, who is going to be consuming this content?
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, what I didn't tell you was that 24 hours of content, they needed in 2 months. So 60 days, they needed it done. How much did they have? Nothing.
Nothing.
So create basically a college-level course in 60 days. Thank you. There's no way to do it.
Yep.
Because look, it takes more time to develop e-learning than it did for live stand-up training for us. Much longer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's really interesting. But believe me, I've also seen that 2-second mark, because what they do is they get on, and if they can, they just go next, next, next. And they just keep hitting as fast as they can until something stops them.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that.
It's probably worse.
Because
yeah.
She was very honest. She came to one of my classes, and she was looking to develop compelling e-learning, but she'd experienced bad e-learning. And I said, tell me about that. Tell me about some of your bad e-learning. What made it bad? She goes, well, the worst one that I took was for a company that I used to work with. She did not want to name the company. I don't blame her. It was compliance training. And she pulled up the lesson, and it was one of those forward and back buttons, next, next, that went on. And they had a little player at the bottom, and it said 25 minutes for this one lesson. She said 25 minutes, and there were like 10 of them. So what she did was, she said, lovely daughter of mine, come here, lovely daughter, a 10-year-old daughter, sit here in front of the computer, and I want you to click next until it gets to the end, then call mommy. You can click as fast as you want, and I'll give you a couple of dollars, then we'll go get ice cream later on. And the daughter basically took the compliance training. There was no quiz, so it really didn't matter as far as retaining knowledge. There were no measurable learning and things other than the learning management system at this corporation said employee X took the lesson. And what a complete shame, because whatever that compliance was, I mean, if this is healthcare, that training is, you would hope or think it's going to lead to saving somebody's life. And if they don't consume the content and learn from it, what was the point? Somebody put that lesson together, and okay, it was a bad lesson, but effort was put in. And what did you do? You made it one of those click-throughs, and somebody just went through it. You know?
Yep.
That's really a shame.
It is, and that's a lot of what you see out there. Tons.
Right.
Now,
I actually met someone who was, I go to conferences and I teach e-learning writing concepts, and really the first thing people have got to have when they develop e-learning is a script and a voiceover script. So really 2 scripts. Yeah. Without a script, you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. You're just kind of making it up as you go along. And an example of someone who makes stuff up sometimes as they go along and can get away with it when it all goes bad is Khan Academy. You've heard of him, yeah? Yes. Khan. Okay. So my daughter, she doesn't particularly like watching the lessons online. It's kind of a shame because that's kind of like, that's one of my areas of expertise. I could do some e-learning for you. And she's like, I don't want to do that. Right. And by the way, I don't want to read your books either. I don't want to do it. So she had to take one of those Khan Academy lessons, and he was teaching some kind of algebra. And Khan got to the end of the thing. It was like a 3-minute video, and he does that telestrating like much better than John Madden used to do. Am I dating myself by saying John Madden? I probably am. It doesn't translate to Europe, right? But he was an announcer, one of my favorite announcers for football years ago. And he was terrible at the telestrating. He couldn't do it. But Khan does a mastery at this telestrating. And he's also a mastery of someone who doesn't fix errors in his videos. And he got to the end of this math problem, and it was completely wrong. And he goes, sorry about that. You know what we'll do? We'll fix it. He started erasing, and he went through the whole problem again. And my daughter's like, I can't unsee that, and now I got the wrong thing. And so he turned it into a teaching moment, because he didn't want to go back and fix the video. And he really quickly, fixed it. He goes, what I did was I didn't carry the 5, I didn't do this, and then the X and the Y. And then he fixed it. And my daughter learned, about fixing the mistake. And I said, see there how awesome that is? She goes, that was terrible. Just show me how to do the thing right, don't do it. So without a script, you got nothing. So can I please just beg everybody out there, before you do any e-learning, do your due diligence with the instructional design. Write your scripts. What we do before every lesson, and I'm sure you do this as well, Rick, you create a mission statement for the whole course. Who's my audience? What are they going to get from the course? What are they going to get from the lesson? At the end of this, how are we measuring success or failure? Is it just click-throughs, or is there going to be an exam? Is there any measurable thing I can do later? Am I following up? Is that in the budget? The whole thing. But those scripts, without a script, you're doing Khan Academy and you're thinking this is going to work out at the end,
right?
But I'm going to do this because I've done this so many times before. And then you go to record your lesson and you are teaching something in this program that's not the way a new user should be doing the process. You're doing it from this super high-end shortcut way. And if you teach it maybe the longer way at first, the students are going to get more value. And as they get better, they'll figure out their shortcuts. My job when I'm teaching this stuff is not to show you every way to do it. I'm trying to show you the most efficient way to do it, sometimes the most common way to do it, maybe the easiest way to do it. And if you want to get more complicated, you can, you know.
And you know, it's interesting because
please write your scripts.
And a lot of times instructional designers are the worst writers. They're not really good writers on the whole.
Oh, yeah.
There are some good ones, but on the whole, and I keep telling almost all the ones we work with and other ones, and in training, read out loud what you've just written.
Oh,
and they look at you and go,
maybe
why? Because you got to talk. Yeah, talk to people. You can't just read and the sentences go. Sometimes the stuff people get sent out to poor VO artists, the voiceover artists, and they're going, oh, it's just so badly written.
Well, you know what I do, Rick, and you've got more experience as voiceover than I do. You've got that silky smooth voice, and I've got whatever this voice is, more like Kermit the Frog. I read my voiceover in front of a mirror. And I can see how fast my mouth is moving. I go, oh my God, what's going on with that mouth? You got to slow it down. I tend to talk really, really fast, probably like I'm doing right now, you know. But when I look at myself in a mirror, I see the mouth going up and down, and I go, oh, you must be talking like the RPMs on the old records crank way up. You got to slow it down, buddy. You know, slow down the golf swing, right? Yeah, so,
that's true. Well, guess what? We are way over out of time, but hey, it's always fun and maybe this time we won't wait 8 years to get you back on. If you can come back again, you're always fun to have on. We'd love to have you.
I like to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Well, talking is good. I let you guys get a word in edgewise.
No, that's good. That's good. And so tell people, what are you doing now? What classes can they take? And where can they contact you?
We got everything for you. You come to IconLogic.com and you can take Captivate 2-day beginner class, Captivate 2-day advanced class. You can take Storyline 2-day beginner class, Storyline 2-day advanced, and there's the website now up on screen. Now, if you take the 2-day classes, they come with my books, the IconLogic Skills and Drills books. We got books on the newest book that just came out. It's on Amazon right now. It will be on the IconLogic website. Is Captivate 2019 Beyond the Essentials, which includes lessons on virtual reality. We're teaching that right now in our advanced class. So if you come to the advanced class, you'll get that. I'm working right now on a new RoboHelp book, combining RoboHelp 2017 and RoboHelp 2019 in Classic into one book. And then what's coming after that is the RoboHelp 2019 book, because that's a total overhaul by Adobe. And the other book that's with my beta team right now is Cal Hadi is my co-author for Storyline. We went back to that advanced book. The Storyline constantly is updating. So Articulate's updating their software 360 all the time, and they've made enough updates that we are putting out a second edition for the advanced book. And it's wrapped up beta. I'm putting in the corrections now, and I expect that'll be up on Amazon and on the IconLogic website in just a couple of more weeks. But we totally redid 2 modules in that book, so check it out.
That sounds great. And I can vouch for him. He's good. I've heard nothing but good about his classes, and people say they have a lot of fun. And if you're not having fun while you're learning, it's not worth it. So
you're here. I'll drink to that. Just your vodka. I'm doing. You know.
Well, again, Kevin, a pleasure having you on. Lesley, as always, we'll see you. And by the way, Lesley, I will be, and you know, she invited me. We're going to be at Learning Technologies in London next year for the first time in February. We're looking forward to it. It should be so much fun. We're going to be in the LearnAppeal booth. So come to the LearnAppeal booth. We'll tell you all about it and get to know us. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're just so delighted that you're going to be able to join us.
Oh, I'm excited. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And it's a good cause. So Anyway, well, if you're watching the show, please subscribe. Get in touch with Kevin. They'll be in the show notes below. You'll have his contact information as well as the IconLogic website, plus LearnAppeal website. So take a look, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.